Talking sports with Nooner and Forrest here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, January the 7th of 2024. We are one day away from the big one, the national championship game. Also, as my counterpart Alex pointed on a terrible football show, the last time the Detroit Lions won their division, Michigan won the national championship. So history could repeat itself tomorrow. Michigan against Washington tomorrow night. And then right now, currently, I believe South Dakota State was leading in the FCS National Championship game. But before that, Brad, how you doing this afternoon?
I think Alex is actually incorrect on that. The last time Detroit won the division was 1993, 30 years ago. But they had been in a wild card situation. So I think that's actually the last time they won the division. Now, Michigan did win the national championship in 97. But I think that is the last time in 93 that Washington played Michigan in a major bowl game, if I'm not
That's right.
mistaken.
They play them. That's right. Michigan beat them in the Rose Bowl. That's what it was. Michigan beat them in
Yeah.
the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah. So that's
I think Washington won because they had Mark Brunell. They won the national title that year, the '92. They shared it. I want to say with Miami, or it might be no, that might have been '91. I think that's '92. I'm sorry. I have to check it out. But anyway, yeah, they played Washington. I know that year.
South Dakota State currently leads 7-3. They just started the third. Excuse me. They just started the third quarter.
Yeah,
And
good
so
game.
definitely that is definitely a good game. You don't mess with the Montana Grizz. That is for sure. Montana
Absolutely
is
not.
13-1 on the year. South Dakota State is 14-0. The Grizz's
Ooh,
one loss, came to Northern Arizona at Northern Arizona. That was many, many weeks ago. And so that's like I said, this should be a great ending. They beat North Dakota State in overtime in the semifinals. So we'll see. Usually South Dakota State usually turns it up in the second half. So we will see
and if you see me
if they
shaking my
do.
head, if you see me shaking my head, I'm watching the Jacksonville and Tennessee game, and the referees missed a blatant face mask penalty on Jacksonville. I mean, it was literally blatant. so, so that would have
You
gave
know,
Tennessee the first down, and that would have
that is
they
one of
would go ahead.
that
I'm
is
sorry.
one fa- I'm just saying like face masks are one of the hardest things to see sometimes. They really are. If you
Well, yeah, I
like
can
so
see
like
that. Yeah.
what color gloves are the Tennessee Titans wearing?
I'm trying to see. They just got a first down, so they're gonna be able to run some more clock with Derrick Henry anyway. I'm trying to see. The one of the offensive line got red. I'm trying to see what Derrick Henry was what gloves he's wearing because it was him that got his face backs pulled.
That's
I
a
can't.
yeah. Yeah, well, if you look at Jacksonville, like if they're wearing dark gloves, I mean, I'm just saying it. Sometimes grabbing a face mask is very very hard to see. Sometimes, especially um, you could be right there on the field. You could have 20 players in front of your vision and not be able to see it. So
He was
that's what I was
okay.
saying.
The guy was that pulled the face mask. He was wearing white gloves.
Yeah, that's like I said, tough to see.
Yeah.
Very tough to see. All right, so here we go, Brad. So in the playoff standings right now, of course, Baltimore's already clinched number one seed. We're good on that. The winner of Buffalo and Miami will most likely get the two seed unless Kansas City, well, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, they should get the two seed because that'll be 12 wins. No, Buffalo will be 11-6, so Kansas City could still get the two seed because I think didn't Kansas City beat Buffalo or did
Buffalo beat
Buffalo beat
Kansas
Kansas City?
City. No,
So
no,
yeah,
Buffalo
so
beat.
yep, so winner Miami and Buffalo will be the two seed. Kansas City will be the three seed regardless. Houston will be the four after clinching the division. Well, they'll clinch the division after the Jaguars lose, and then that scenario will put. Of course, Cleveland's the five seed. That scenario will put Pittsburgh and that scenario will put Pittsburgh in the playoffs regardless.
Is what
And
put Pittsburgh.
the winner of Buffalo and Miami today, like I said, getting that two seed, they will face Pittsburgh next week in the first round. We already know Houston and Cleveland are going to play each other, and it looks like Kansas City is going to play the loser of Miami and Buffalo. So very, very good playoff scenario that's going to be happening next week. If we go to the NFC, San Francisco has already clinched the number 1 seed. They're going to get it win or lose today. If the Cowboys end up beating the Commanders, which I believe they're going to, they will be 12-5 on the year. They will be the 2 seed, and they will most likely. Now, there's so many different scenarios that could happen here, because if Green Bay and Seattle both lose today, New Orleans will get in as the 7 seed because they will be 9-8. And if, like I said, but Green Bay and Seattle both have to lose for that scenario to happen.
Yeah.
Because right now, currently, Green Bay and Seattle currently hold the tiebreaker based on best overall conference wins. And so yeah, there's a lot of football that's going to be left playing today. Detroit's going to get the 3 seed regardless. Tampa Bay have just clinched the division. Let's see here. Yes, because I believe, is that game over with yet? I think it is.
I'm trying to look right now, Ricky, be honest with you. That game is over. Buccaneers won 9-0 over the Carolina Panthers.
And so with that being said, the Buccaneers will clinch the division at 9-8. Philly will most likely stay at the 5 spot unless the Cowboys lose. The Rams will most likely stay at the 6th spot. So the Cowboys are either going to play Green Bay, Seattle, or New Orleans. I personally hope it's Green Bay because I'm sick and tired of hearing about them. And the last time we played the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs, it was a catch. Y'all can all kiss my rear end. So Seattle would be a tough one, though, because Seattle did play us tough in Dallas. And but as a scenario stands right now, the Cowboys will play either the Packers, Seahawks, or Saints, depending on the outcome of today's ball games. Detroit will play Los Angeles. What a scenario that's going to be. Matt Stafford going back to Detroit for the first time since becoming a Ram. What an event. And Jared Goff was the LA quarterback. And so I'm just saying that's going to be something else. Tampa Bay will face Philly unless the Cowboys lose. And then they will, if the Cowboys end up losing today, Tampa Bay will host the Cowboys next week in Raymond James Stadium, which will be a rematch of last year's first round when the Cowboys beat Tom Brady and ended up retiring him.
Yep.
So that's about it. Yeah, that's about it right now. Yeah, right about it right now with a ton of football that's going on right now. Detroit beat Minnesota by 10. With Minnesota losing, that will put them out of the playoff picture for good. Which is kind of sad though. I mean, especially when Kirk Cousins went down, that was when their season was over with. Of course they were struggling at the beginning of the year, but Kirk Cousins was on one. And I really hate that they lost him because I was really, really pulling for them to pull through, at least get a playoff spot in the division. Let's see here. Right now, is it 3rd and 11 on your end, Brad, for Tennessee?
I'm in commercial right now.
Okay.
I haven't paid attention. So.
According to this, Jacksonville took its final timeout. They're 3rd and 11 on the Tennessee, or at least Tennessee still has the ball on their own 36-yard line. So Jacksonville's going to have to get a stop here. Jacksonville loses, they're done. There's no way for them to make the playoffs, which is another sad situation, considering that Jacksonville, they've won more games on the road than they have at home. So, I mean, even with winning, there's no guarantee that they're even going to play well at home. Speaking of which, the Arkansas Razorbacks. Oh, my gosh. The Arkansas Razorbacks go down Bud Walton Arena, the largest deficit we have ever had in Bud Walton Arena by the final score of 83-51, Auburn over Arkansas. Arkansas was down 7 at the half, and Auburn outscored us 46-21 in the second half. Looking at the stats, Auburn shot 48% from the field, Arkansas 31. Auburn was 38% or almost 39% from 3-point range. Arkansas was 29. Free throws, Auburn was 8 of 11. Arkansas was 8 of 15. So that's not a bad free throw right there. I mean, as far as like the trips to the free throw line goes, it's about even. Just the percentage was absolutely horrible. Arkansas couldn't get a rebound to save their life. We got out rebounded 46-32. Auburn, 16 assists to 8 assists for Arkansas. Let's see. Total turnovers. Auburn had 7 turnovers. Arkansas had 13. And here's where the biggest problem lied. Something we had an issue with last year at this time of year. Auburn scored 48 of their 83 points in the paint. You're not going to win any ball games being outscored by that much. And so I will tell you what I told you yesterday. This could be the most disappointing season between football and basketball that I've ever been a part of. I mean, because usually if one's good, if one's not good, the other one kind of cancels itself out. And then of course baseball season is on the horizon. And I'll just tell you what I told you. Baseball starts in 40 days.
Yep.
I mean, that's all you really can say. I mean, you can root for the ladies. The ladies are going to be okay. But I mean, it's so bad right now. You cannot. I don't know how to put it, because I mean, I even worried about them whenever we went up and watched them play at Simmons.
Yeah.
Because at Simmons we had a 20-point lead and they cut it to 1. I'm like, it was a nobody team, and so
Lipscomb.
I just lit and it
Church
just
Christ.
yeah, Church of Christ schools, I swear. So anyway. So yeah, I mean, we did beat Duke, but I mean, I don't get it. You beat Duke. A lot of people put that Purdue win on. I don't, because it was just a stupid exhibition game.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it just okay. It looks like Jacksonville got the ball back. So
a 2-minute warning.
So I'm just going to put it to you this way, Brett. I'm not looking forward to the rest of this basketball season, because it looks like we just do not have a team that plays well together. Devo Davis is still being Devo Davis. He tries to do way too much.
Yep.
You could tell they're not sharing the basketball. 8 assists in a college basketball game. Are you kidding me?
That's
8
ridiculous.
assists. And so I just don't see us, unless, barring some, 'cause like I said, there's still plenty of season left, but barring some miracle that we start winning some big games, because it's like I told you before, our non-conference schedule was decently tough this year. It wasn't weak like it had been in the past.
Right.
We actually played some very, very valuable teams. We played Memphis. We played Oklahoma. We played Duke. Excuse me. And we had some tough road games. We lost those road games. We haven't won on the road yet. If you get 1 or 2 of those wins on the road, you beat Oklahoma, you beat Memphis down at Battle for Atlantis, you're looking at right now at a probably 8, 7, 8, 9 seed in the tournament right now, barring your conference record. But it's like I said earlier, now that we've lost these games, they're going to have to get an outrageous conference record. They need at least 11 wins to convince me that they're a tournament team. If not, wait till the SEC tournament gets here, and barring some miracle, win the SEC tournament. That's the only chance they have of getting in right now. Because like I said, they play 16 conference games now.
Yeah.
So 11, 12, 11-5, 12-4. That's a great conference record, especially if you can get a win on the road, like a Kentucky or an Ole Miss or somewhere like that. So yeah, Brad, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this program. We stink. That's all I know.
Don't you? Is it interesting, before the football season, going way back before football season, how much goodwill Hunter Yurchek has? And now it might not be that much goodwill, considering that 2 of his top programs is struggling right now, especially football struggling. And of course, right now, basketball struggling, which nobody's going to suggest that we need to fire Musselman. I'm not suggesting that at all. But to have 2 of your top programs struggle like this mightily when there was high expectations, especially with the basketball program, it's kind of, it's a head scratcher. And like you say, baseball season is around the corner, and that's probably the only hope for us to really get into any NCAA tournament in a major sport would be in baseball. Ricky,
Softball,
I'm
maybe.
just
Softball, maybe.
softball. Yeah, softball too. Yeah, I shouldn't. And the women's team has a chance as well. I shouldn't say the women's basketball team, but but your two largest programs is your men's basketball team and your football team, and both of them to be a very disappointment has not does not really bode well for Hunter Yurchek, especially when he kept Sam Pittman as the head football coach. Just want to just put that out there, but I think the thing about Musselman, so with the thing about Musselman that I've always had a issue with, I don't have much issue with Musselman and not keeping him. I'm just want to make that clear. But the thing with what has stopped Arkansas, even when they've had good runs, is at times they don't play good defense, and they've never really been a shooting team. They've always had to rely on getting to the free throw line, scoring in the paint. That's how it's always been. And so when Arkansas has to shoot the ball, I mean, it's really been, it hasn't been good. I mean, that's been the recipe. Oh yeah, by the way, it's 4th and 2, Jacksonville, with a minute and 50 left in the game. But anyway, I just want to make that update. But I just think Arkansas, but you're seeing that same story spill over to this season. And really, to be honest with you, Ricky, it's more glaring this year. Like you said, the team really hasn't come together. Last year, there was some excuse because he had a lot of injuries. And once that team did come together at the end of the season, and especially in the tournament, we did make a run. Um, am I say is there a lot of basketball left? There is a lot of basketball left, but I'm with you. I saw Arkansas play ACU. I saw a full game finally the other night when they play ACU, and they didn't look good with them either. That just didn't look good. I mean, struggled with defensively, doesn't shoot the ball well, and like you say, 8 assists. Oh my goodness. God rest his soul, but Bob Knight would have a field day with that team on Monday morning. I mean,
Yeah. Especially,
that's
and here's the sad part. We only scored 51 points yesterday. We scored 106 against UNC Wilmington. Now, Barrett,
yeah,
UNC Wilmington is not Auburn.
yeah.
Auburn has height. They have athletes. They have, big, basketball players. I mean, that's part of it. But it's like
Sorry to interrupt. Jacksonville will lose. Tennessee regained the ball.
Tennessee. Okay, that's so no more Jacksonville in the playoffs. Let's see here. So with Jacksonville being out, Pittsburgh is officially in the playoffs. And there is not another scenario. I don't think there is another scenario, Brad. Let me look here. Nope, that is it. So Jacksonville will be out of the playoffs. There is not another scenario to get them in. Pittsburgh will be the 7th seed regardless. The winner of that's what's going to stink. The winner of the Buffalo Miami game will be the 2 seed. The loser will be the 6 seed. So it depends on who wants to go on the road and who wants to. Of course, I kind of called for Buffalo. If I looking at my scenario,
Yeah.
So this is what I had at the very beginning of the football season. All right, so I did have the Ravens going 13-4. I did have the Browns going 11-6. I had the Steelers going 10-7. I had Buffalo and Miami both going 11-6. I had them both going 11-6. And so, but I had Buffalo winning the division. So there is a possibility I could get this thing 100% right on the AFC side. Now, on the NFC side, that's a different story. The NFC side, I do have San Fran with the 1 seed. I have LA with the 6th. I have the Cowboys with the 2 seed because I did have them going 12-5. I had the Eagles going 11-6. Detroit, I had Detroit winning. The one thing that I had that's wrong, that's going to be wrong, is I had Minnesota getting that 7th spot. And then I had New Orleans winning the division instead of Tampa Bay. And New Orleans played great football today. They played really good football today. So yeah, I've got the AFC almost exactly right. The NFC, I'm going to be off a little bit, but hey, it's I was just glad I was close this year with my predictions. I'm just glad I was
And New,
close.
and New Orleans still could technically get in if they have I believe I'm trying to think here. Seattle and Green Bay would have to end up in a tie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yep. And I
Yep.
think I'm trying to Green Bay plays Chicago at Chicago. That's not an
Oh
easy
wait,
place to win at.
I'm
And
sorry. I'm
then
sorry. They both had to lose. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought they played each
right.
other. No, they don't play each other. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they don't play each other. And I can't
yeah,
remember I can't remember who Seattle plays.
yeah. They could still make it in if they get them both to lose.
And so anyway,
But
so very,
anyway,
very good.
going back to Arkansas Razorback football real quick. I just had to make that quick update. But yeah, I'm kind of like you, Ricky. I don't really see Arkansas making the tournament this year, which would be very disappointing. And Musselman's got is going to have to figure some things out very quickly. I don't know what it's going to take, but is it either they're going to have to just focus more on the defensive side of the ball, which that would be my highly suggestion, but we and not worried about scoring. But I think you mentioned it the best is each player has to find their role, and they need to find their role on the team very quickly and come together because right now, Arkansas is not a basketball team. We do have the women's team could make the tournament this year. We could have baseball and softball make the tournament. Well, baseball most likely will make the tournament. I mean, but with everything else going on, Ricky, it just makes you want to doubt a little bit. But baseball should make the tournament. And that's really all we got to look forward to, which is very, very disappointing, Ricky, because I mean, I just had so much, especially with basketball. And like I say, a lot of the pundits like Jim Neighbors and all them, and I shouldn't say anything. I know he's a local guy on 103.7 The Buzz, but I want to say he's an idiot. But but anyway, he was so bragging about how Arkansas beat Purdue. I'm thinking this is a preseason game. I mean, they did play it out but Purdue is really not that great. I mean, they play in a
They're really
conference.
not.
They play in a conference that is a big man conference, which if they play a team like Arkansas, yes, they're going to struggle because Arkansas can put the ball on the floor and drive to the paint on Purdue. But Purdue playing teams like Michigan State, that plays teams like Illinois, it's a big man league, which is not bad. I mean, you can win a national championship like that, but it's not. But if they play teams like Arkansas, they play teams like Kansas, they're going to struggle. I mean, they're just going to struggle. It's not going to be as easy as going through the Big Ten. So I just, like I said, Ricky, I find it very disappointing. I hope Arkansas can turn it around. They can if they come together. But like you say, I think they're going to have to win 11, 12 games to make the NCAA tournament. And maybe that might not even be enough in itself, in a sense, because that gets them to 10 losses. If they go 11-5, they'll be 20. So if they go 11-5, they'll be 20-10 going into the SEC tournament. I mean,
That might not
so
get in. They may not get in with that.
yeah, so they might have to win a game or two within the SEC tournament just to get into the tournament from that point on. So, Arkansas is in deep trouble, and baseball season's 40 days away. Let's just hope Dave Van Horn can finally turn this thing around for Arkansas sports because right now it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep, I'll get to my comments with Arkansas here in a minute. I just wanted to touch on Wichita State for Nate while I've got this pulled up. Wichita State has lost the last 4 games. They've actually lost 6 of the last 7. They've struggled mightily over the last month. Their next 2 games, Brad, do not look very promising either. They play Memphis at home next Sunday, and then the following Thursday they play at Florida Atlantic. So then they play at South Florida. Then they have a couple of home games stretch before they go back on the road. So Wichita State's in the same situation as Arkansas is in, with the exception they've got, of course, their conference is a little bit weaker than the SEC, but they've got a lot to do, and that just shows their youth, because they are still pretty young.
Yeah.
They're still pretty young. So hopefully Wichita State will be able to turn it back around as well. Their 4 losses in a row do include today as well. They lost to Temple 68-61 on the road. And I actually watched them play. I think it was New Year's Eve. They played at Kansas, and Kansas just rode them. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, they played
It was,
Kansas City. Yeah,
and
that game.
then it wasn't even close. And so, yeah, their
Yeah.
youth is starting to show. So we'll see if we can. We'll see if Wichita State can come back there for Nate, with him being a big Wichita State Shockers fan. So I mean, here's the thing, Brad. I think one of the things that we could definitely say about Eric Musselman for sure is that it's okay that this year's a one-off year.
Yeah,
He's
it
not,
is.
he's not in a situation like Sam Pittman's been in, where he's had 2 mediocre. He had a mediocre season, followed by a 9-3 season, followed by a mediocre 7-6, and then a worse than mediocre season this year. Which I mean, I'm saying, just from what I've seen, scenario after scenario after scenario, I thought Sam Pittman was going to be let go.
Me
Especially with
too.
us coming into the new SEC year. And I really believe that bringing in Bob Petrino saved his butt. I really believe that.
I agree
Um,
100% too.
if of course, Bob Petrino is a different person than what he used to be. If you believe that he'd rather be a coordinator at this point in his career, hey, by all means, let's see what he could do with this Arkansas team. And you see some of the recruiting. You see some of the recruiting that they've been able to bring in. Since then, you mentioned the running back the other day that's transferring. They've got a few other transfers that have come in. So, I mean, we'll see if they at least compete next year, but we got to do more than compete next year. We've got to do more than
Arkansas,
compete.
I was going to say Arkansas in the transfer portal. Last time I checked on the rankings, they're number 11 in the transfer portal in the country right now.
And so, which is very good. And I mean, and you look at it, because like a lot of them do prefer some of them who have that experience of playing,
Right.
D1 and things like that. It's almost like with basketball, because basketball, they get you see a lot of junior college transfers in basketball. But I mean, but they're junior colleges. They're only 2-year colleges. They're not 4-year.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just 2-year colleges anyway. Not many of them that are considered 4-year colleges or anything like that. So, but it's like I said, they've got to figure football out for sure.
Yeah.
Because like that's the moneymaker. That's the moneymaker. They fund
Absolutely.
a lot. They fund a lot of stuff. And I mean, now, of course, now with the NIL and everything like that that's going on, I mean, of course, I still believe the NIL is completely ruining. It is completely ruining.
Well, let me ask you this.
We know it.
So we're on this topic. So, Ricky, we watched the travesty that was the Orange Bowl. Well, I didn't watch it. That was the Orange Bowl. And of course, Florida State had 24 players that opted out. Some of them were transfers. A lot of their major players just opted out, go to the NFL, which I'm going to say this right now. 75% of that blame does go to Mike Norvell. And here's the reason why I say this. He had an opportunity to play this like Pete Carroll did a few years back. If you remember Pete Carroll, when USC was left out in the BCS and everything else, and remember, USC, Oklahoma got in after just losing their conference championship game to Kansas State. And that game was not even close, by the way, when they lost that game. And they ended up playing LSU while USC got sent to the Rose Bowl that year to play Michigan. And so when Pete Carroll got interviewed by ESPN, the first thing he said, we got a chance to play for a national championship. Everybody looked at him like he was stupid because he kept on saying that because the Associated Press does not have a tie-in to who they crown as national champion. They can crown whoever they want as the national champion. USC goes out and beats Michigan pretty convincingly. It was a pretty good game, but it was still a convincing win. Of course, LSU beats Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. And guess what? USC got a share of a national championship because Pete Carroll, I believe, campaigning on the fact that his team deserved a national championship. If Mike Norvell would have played it to that end of it, you know, I'm not saying everybody would have stayed on. I don't know, but instead he played a pitiful, feel sorry for us. You know, even after the our podcast together, after I was looking at it, Mike Norvell said, "This has been the most challenging month that I've ever had as a head coach. It's been hard to get them up and everything else." Well, Mike Norvell, you reflect that. So I do
Yeah.
blame 75% of that on Mike Norvell, number one. The other 25% is on the system. It's on the system itself, like NIL and the transfer portal. And my question to you, Ricky, is this. So ESPN had this discussion. Even even Kirby Smart afterwards, after the game, pretty much he pretty much blasted the NCAA about how the transporter was, how this was not really the game that everybody paid to see, and how this was not this does not reflect Florida State, because this is not the Florida State that played all season to that point. And he made his case. He pretty much blasted the NCAA. He said, "We got to do something better for these guys." And so I've been listening to pundits. I've been listening to everybody. You know, some of them are saying that we had too many bowl games, which I do believe that. I think we have too many bowl games. That's number one. Number two, nobody less than a 500 record or any teams at 500 should be making bowl games. I'm sorry. I don't think you should get rewarded that. That's number two. And number three, what is wrong of having the transfer portal after the bowl games or after the playoffs? I mean, that to me makes the most common sense, because right now you got you got a lot of games. And number four, I would withhold the NIL money for those who opted out. I'm going to say, listen, if you want your NIL money from the school, you have to play the full season. That includes the bowl game for the school. That's a few things I have, but I think that has to get fixed, because the Orange Bowl, which is a historical game, Ricky, a historical game. It's a game that me and you used to look forward to during New Year's Day. I mean, the bowls were so big because the bowls meant something. Now, who cares? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care about the Pop Tart. I don't care about Pop Tart popping out of a stinking
Hey,
toast.
hey, that is
I
the
don't
most
care.
awesome trophy. That
I,
you watch your mouth, sir. That's a great
I don't
trophy.
care
That's
about the
the
Pop Tart
best.
bowl.
That's the best looking trophy I've ever seen in my entire
I don't
life.
care about
That
the
trophy is
Preparation
awesome.
H Bowl. I don't care about the Preparation H Bowl. I don't care about any of those bowls. Just give me good bowl games with good teams and reward them for the good season they have.
You watch your mouth about the Pop Tart Bowl. That's an awesome trophy. You and I both know that is the best looking trophy that we've ever seen in our life. That was an awesome trophy.
Well, what happened to the mascot with the edible mascot? That supposed to be an edible mascot uniform.
I had no idea about that. I didn't even pay attention on that part.
I mean, it was dumping mayonnaise on coaches. Dumping mayonnaise on coaches.
That's stupid. That's just stupid.
So
That's
anyway,
stupid.
so that's my 2 cents on that.
So number one, Brad, the reason why the transfer portal is the way it is right now is because they've got to get these kids in by semester. That is number one. They do have to get the kids in by semester. So in some ways, I understand that. But here is something else. This is why you have restrictions on stuff like this, because now it's not about used to. It was when you went to college and you were playing athletics. It was
Yeah,
about going to earn your education. Over
right.
97% of the athletes that go into, if not 99% of the athletes that go into college and play college sports will not go to the NBA, NFL, MLB, whatever the case is professional sports it is anyway. So why are we giving out bukus of NIL money to some of these kids that aren't going to make the pros anyway?
Right.
So, um, this is why you have restrictions. This is why you have guidelines. This is why you have policies towards certain things. I am a huge fan of how baseball works, because baseball, the only time you get a chance to transfer in baseball is if you're in junior college, which I understand that, because
Yeah.
junior college, you either go to the pros or you go play for a major university. I am all for that. I'm also all for that. You need to play at least 3 years in college in any sport before you can go pro anyways. So that is the biggest thing that has been taken away. I don't care that they're put on national TV. High school players are put on national TV. The King Cotton Classic that was just down here, of course, they weren't put on national TV or anything like that, Brad. But the King Classic, the King God, I can't even talk. The King Cotton Classic
Think about the Pop-Tart Bowl here.
that was played 15, 20 minutes from my house, who had some decent national level teams that are coming on.
Yes. Yep.
Um, they're not getting paid to play. Why are we
No.
paying college athletes? I will never understand paying college athletes. The only thing that now, if you give them some kind of an allowance or something like that, to where, because you and I both know, we've been on college camps, even in the small NAI school that you and I went to. You and I both know the players practiced all the time, especially the baseball players. The baseball players ran at what, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. It was early.
And then they had afternoon practice like 1:30, 2 o'clock. So yeah. And then there were times they couldn't even get to the cafeteria on time. So that part I understand. I understand giving them some kind of an allowance. Um, whatever that is fine. I'm fine with that. But there's not a player in the entire world that should be getting a 6-7 figure salary to be playing sports. No. What happened to going to college, period? Going to college, you're there to learn, you're there to get a degree. You're getting paid to get a degree because you're getting scholarships and everything like that. And so, and I get the whole deal of, well, if you're one of those players who has that promise of going to the NFL or the NBA, I understand that you could have a career-ending injury. You could have a career-ending injury when you're in elementary school. You could have a
Yep.
career-ending injury when you're in high school. That's the
Yep.
risk. It's all called paying your dues. Go look up Stone Cold Steve Austin's A&E biography that he had, the biography documentary that he had a while back. Listen to The Undertaker and some of the stuff that he used to have to do to pay
Yeah.
his dues in wrestling.
Oh yeah.
All these wrestlers that came up, listen what they had to do to get to where they were, and they were willing to do that. The problem is we live in a generation where they want these handouts, and we're giving it to them. Like,
Yep.
what are you thinking?
You know,
That's what we're
Cardell.
doing.
You know, Cardell Jones, who was the third string quarterback that led Ohio State to the national championship in 2014, I believe, he made a statement the other day. He says, he talked about how Miami's paying all these players to go to University of Miami with NIL money, but he said money doesn't always, you know, it's not always about the money. Pretty much, you know, it's about winning championships, and that's what he was trying to get at. And Ricky, it's so, I'm not totally against paying players in far as giving them like, an allowance, like you say, or giving them a little bit of money per se. But it's like, for example, Ewers, the Texas Corp, there's this famous picture that came out there in the media days where there's Ewers by himself in front of the podium and everybody's over at Arch Manning, taking pictures of him and everything else because he's getting like bukus of NIL money to go to Texas just to sit on the bench, and to just be a bench warmer pretty much because he was third string for the most of the year. He was only elevated to the backup because the backup quarterback transferred and everything from Texas. So it's just ridiculous, Ricky, with all this money being going out. There was actually talk of Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. actually going back to school because they said, quote, they could make more money going back to school on an NIL deal for their senior year than they could be a top 5 pick in the NFL. That's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts to even think about that, Ricky. And so
there was even like I said, here's something else though. Like here a while back, and I like I said, some of these reports you don't know how to take them.
It's
Some of
true.
them you take with a grain of salt. Some of them you don't. But like Caleb Williams apparently was forking out the 5 teams he would play for being drafted. He said the rest of them he wouldn't even play for. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
why?
Oh
That
yeah,
doesn't
he
make any
did.
sense. And
Yeah,
so
I heard that
it's
report too.
but I mean even then it's like but it's like I said, that there has to be some kind of control. There has to be some kind of policy, something kind of put into play. Because, like I said, we're giving these players handouts. Some of these players get paid more than me and you been in the work field for how for well, let's see, we graduated. So you graduated what 2010? Or did you graduate
2011.
2011? So I
2011.
graduated 2011 as well. So for the last 13 years, well, even 13 plus years, because we did work in college some too, we've been in the work field working our butts off. And you got these college athletes just because they can play football or whatever it is, they're getting all this kind of NIL money. It's like, and like I said, I'm all for players, making better themselves, but they're getting handouts here. They're not paying their dues. That's not
No,
paying dues.
no, they're not. And again, Ricky, but something has to be done because a lot of these bowl games, sadly, is becoming a joke. Like the Orange Bowl was a joke, which it should never be a joke. I mean, that was two great teams going head to head. Like I said, I think 75% still goes to Mike Norvell because Mike Norvell played the poor, pitiful, oh, poor me scenario instead of trying to get his team fired up and say, hey, listen, maybe a pollster or somebody will say, hey, let's give Florida State the national championship. Let's try to win. Because the one thing I would say about Georgia, Georgia didn't have any opt-outs like that. No, that just shows the culture that Kirby Smart is building at Georgia. That shows the culture that Nick Saban has at at Alabama. Look at Dabo Swinney. You know, Paul Feinbaum likes to ridicule him, but most of his players played in the Gator Bowl. The Gator Bowl. That most of the players will play in the Gator Bowl, where they beat Kentucky in a very close game. So again, Ricky, to put it all on the system, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put some most of the blame on Mike Norvell because again, he's got a long way to build the culture there at Florida State. Number one, but again, I'm not. But he did get a good top quarterback to help him next year. So let's on a side note.
The
But
ACC sucks. He's not going anywhere.
but anyway, and of course, Florida State's trying to get out of the ACC now because of all this controversy. And they're suing in court for that. But it's just Ricky. I know Harbaugh even in his press conference was advocating for revenue sharing with college sports and college athletes and stuff. Which I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a
I'm
little
for
different.
it.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a little
for
different
it if it
NIL.
has I'm for it if it has guidelines. If it
Exactly.
doesn't have guidelines and you're just throwing money to these kids because that's my whole thing.
You got
It
parameters.
has to exactly. You have to have parameters. You have to have guidelines. You have to have certain limits that you're going to be willing to go to and to pay these players. Like I said, I'm all for it, but I'm against it as well because I know how much time they put in. They put in so much time, and plus you have to go to class and keep your grades, and you got to do all this kind of stuff. But that's part of paying your dues.
Well, and Jim Harbaugh tried to put it as well. You watch the games and watch the players. Well, not necessarily in college, and not in college, because when you watch Michigan, who do you identify with Michigan? You identify with Michigan with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah,
Who do you identify with Alabama? Nick Saban.
Nick
Who do you
Saban.
identify with Clemson?
It's their
Dabo
coaches
Swinney. Yeah, the coach.
because
Exactly. So my
because
point is
the players come and go.
exactly. That's my point. So the revenue sharing, I'm not totally against that, but there needs to be some parameters, like you say. I mean,
Yeah,
like guaranteeing that they will play the whole season no matter where they end up at. I mean, I don't know, but I do think the transfer portal. I mean, and I understand where you're coming from. They'd have to be enrolled before the spring semester, that sort of thing. But there's ways to work around that too, because
there
there's
is.
always late registration. There's always those sorts of things going on as well. People registers late, but they still get their classes, they still get class credit, that sort of thing. So I mean, I just think if you can solve the transfer portal right now, the NIL thing, I don't know, that's not going away unless somebody steps in of higher authority than the NCAA to change that, because the NCAA wants somebody to fix it for them when they need to fix it themselves.
100% agree. At the end of the third quarter, South Dakota State leads 23-3. They outscored Montana 16-0. Yeah, they turned on the second half, Brad. They figure you out. They
good.
Figure you out. They turn it on. Go South Dakota State, even though you're missing the greatest tight end in the history of all college sports, including the NFL, Mr. Tucker Kraft. Anyways, I'm a big Tucker Kraft guy, man. I'm telling you, I'm a huge. I talk about him all the time. I talk about him all the time on a Terrible Football Show. It's absolutely awesome. And even though he's only scored 2 touchdowns for Green Bay this year, I absolutely love the guy. But he's actually had a very good rookie season, though.
Yes, he has.
All right, so let's see here. More news coming out of let's see here. Infinity Pro Championship Wrestling. That is the promotion that I have been working for over the last few months. We started back in September. I did not make last month's show because of a conflict with church choir. We had our church choir. We had our church choir concert the same night that the show happened. But the next show, Infinity Pro Championship Wrestling, it's in Jacksonville. It's off of Boys Club. It's at the Boys Club in Jacksonville, One Boys Club Drive. Let's see here. The next show is Sunday, January 18th. That is 3 weeks from now. That is the Sunday right after, the day after the Royal Rumble. They're going to have over-the-top battle royal with a special guest host, Angry Patrick. Don't know who he is. I don't know who he is.
Oh, I know Angry Patrick. Oh my God, you gotta be freaking kidding me!
I don't know who he is. I'm serious.
100.3, The Edge.
Oh, that's the same guy?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, CJ's going to kill me when he hears this podcast. So anyway,
oh my gosh,
that is
you gotta be freaking kidding
me. That is awesome. I'm just, anyways. So I've got an idea, but before I share it on the podcast, I've got to get permission first before I share it. I've already kind of shared it with you on my idea, Brad. But like I said, I got to share it with CJ and Don before we can do it. Speaking of which, I've got to get with them, with CJ and Don both. We are going to try to get them on within the next week or two, so that way we can promote this even more. Infinity Pro Championship Wrestling. It's the doors open at 4:00. Bell time is going to be at 5 p.m. That is Sunday, January the 28th.
Well, Ricky, I just want to say this. I'm all for the indies, independent wrestling seceding, definitely. And it's just great to see a promotion like this coming along. And, you want to see these guys make it to the next level. I mean, you hope the promotion could possibly do that. But if not, that's fine. That's fine too. It's okay to be independent, but you want these guys to succeed, and hopefully, and that will be the case for some of these guys where they could go to the next level, that sort of thing. But yeah, very excited about this. Very excited about what we got talking about and everything else, and having them on the show.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and mention a couple of these other promotions, Brad, because these promotions are kind of working together.
Absolutely.
TNR, I don't know what TNR stands for, guys. I'm sorry, I don't know what it stands for. I'll have to get with CJ on that. This is the New Year Brawl, January the 20th. That's 211 11th Street in Leachville, Arkansas. The doors will open at 6 p.m. General admission is $10. It's $10. Kids 7 and under are free. Another promotion that is also going along with this is right close to where you're close to your backyard, Brad. Vapors Championship Wrestling. This is going to be at Boogie's Bar and Grill off of 1010 East Grand Avenue. This is going to be March the 9th. The tickets are also $10, but this one is specifically 21 and older, probably because it's a bar. Doors open at 6 p.m. First bell is at 7. I may even look at going to that just because, like I said, it's another promotion to support. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. And that's the thing. A few weeks back, March 9th on a Saturday, by the way. So be sure to tune that out. A few weeks back, there was a promotion looking for an official for a night, and CJ sent it to me, and I wasn't able to do it, but because I had to call a basketball game that day. And there was no way I was going to be able to make it up there in time. But like I said, though, I mean, it's good. Like, OCW up in Hoxie, that's where I started
Yeah.
at. Small, it's so good to, to go and support some of these promotions, even if you don't know some of the wrestlers or anything like that. It's just so good to go support these guys. Because like I said, it's like being a wrestling fan in general.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to go out there, you're going to find wrestlers in these indies. Some of them are not as good as others. Some of them are
Right.
really, really good. And you may not see many of these guys make it to the top.
Right.
But if you don't support them, if you don't give them that kind of encouragement, they're just going to fall flat off the face of the earth and be done. And that's not how this works. We got to support these guys. So let's go out
Well,
and support these guys. And like I said, I've got an idea for the 28th, but I got to run it by Don and CJ first, and so I'm going to get with them very soon. I got to see if we can set up a time to do an interview during the podcast. That way we could get the promotion going.
absolutely. And all I was going to say too, it also helps these small towns and communities like Leechville, like
Yep.
Jacksonville, my own backyard and that say it just helps the communities too. And it gives people activities to do and to be able to have some entertainment and just have some fun. One of my favorite stories of wrestling of all time was when Jerry Lawler broke Paul Heyman's nose in Blytheville, Arkansas.
He broke my nose.
Yep. And while they were both in Memphis at the Memphis promotion back in the old days. Yeah, Jerry Lawler broke Paul Heyman's nose. Oh, there
That's
you go.
hilarious. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, you should look that story up. Yeah.
That's absolutely hilarious. Oh, Paul Heyman. Speaking of which, what do you think of The Rock coming back? The Rock, and there's of course, I can't remember if it was Pat McAfee that interviewed him or if there was another interview that he did. It might have been with Logan Paul or something like that. But last year's WrestleMania, The Rock and Reigns, they were going to book it, and something kind of conflicted with it. They were going to book that match.
Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's going to be one of those matches that, just because it's The Rock coming back, to me, and this is just me, for them to have a match, Roman Reigns cannot have the title, in my opinion, because that's going to give away who's going to win anyways. They're most likely going to let Reigns go over anyways, but
Yeah, about to say Reigns will go over.
but my whole entire
Right.
point is you got to have the title off before you do a match like that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering. So this is just me. If they don't do it this year, I wonder if they're going to do it how they did Cena and Rock. When Cena lost at WrestleMania, which he didn't have the title, Miz did, but The Rock cost him the championship, and they fought the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're going to set something up like with Reigns, where Rock could possibly cost him the title, and then they wrestle at next year's WrestleMania.
And that was pretty much the end of John Cena being full time, as in opposed to being at multiple shows during the year when he faced The Rock the last time too. So that could be very true. I could definitely see that. I see a possibility where Roman Reigns. This is how I see it. If I see it anywhere of Ricky, I see a Roman Reigns like Cody Rhodes rematch in WrestleMania. I see The Rock costing Roman Reigns the match against Cody going over in that regard. And then like Roman Reigns to face The Rock, like you say, the next year. I definitely do see that. Or I do see where this could be like The Rock's swan song, where this is absolutely his last match. Where, I know they have been hyping the Royal Rumble, where it's a 2-day event too, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, it's a 1-day event. I'm sorry, it's a Saturday.
That'd be stupid if they put that in 2 days.
Well, that would be stupid, but I've seen crazier things. But I will say this: No, um, The Rock would probably not go over, but they wrestled to a great match, a classic match where Roman finally wins and Roman walks out. Rock gets a curtain call. He waves bye goodbye to the fans, something like that too. Um, I think Roman's now. I have heard rumor innuendo that Roman's time is coming to an end as far as him wrestling multiple times a year too. It has to do with his health. From what I understand, it's not that his cancer's back. I'm not saying trying to state that,
Yeah.
but it has to do with the effects of what his treatments. That's according to a rumor innuendo that his treatments for his leukemia has done, and over the years, it's kind of gotten worse and worse as far as the side effects and that sort of thing. And he's kind of getting he's tired. In other words, he's just tired. He's worn out. It's just not the same. And that's why you haven't really seen Roman Reigns as much within the last year. That's according to rumor and what has gone on. So, I mean, I do see Roman finally losing the title this year. It just seems like to me, I think Roman's going to is going to lose the title at WrestleMania. I don't know to who yet. It could be a rematch with Cody again. It could be. I mean, I don't see him keeping the title past WrestleMania this year.
See, and I don't know because he's got to go. I think they said he's got to go to September to break Hogan's record.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
but here's the thing though, Brad. Um, during Hogan's championship run, it was a little bit different than the championship run that you have now with Roman Reigns.
well, of course, yeah,
The big names in both their eras, you didn't have a ton of big names during that time. You had injuries, you've had free agencies, you've had all kinds of stuff. Brad, I'm going to tell you right now, and this is just me. I don't think they're going to give to CM Punk yet because CM Punk needs to pay his dues for leaving for the last 10 years.
yep,
Um, can I just be honest with you on something? And this is just me. This is just me.
yep, absolutely.
Survivor Series. Roman
Mm,
Reigns drops the title to MJF.
I see that.
MJF is off the AEW roster right now. They're still
Yep.
in a bidding war. He hasn't signed. I personally think he's going to sign to WWE. I mean, that's his next thing. Because you think about it, MJF could. I think he's going to make a Royal Rumble appearance. That's just me. This is just me. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a reporter. I don't know. Things. I'm not that close to it. But I'm just saying this. MJF makes his first appearance at the Royal Rumble. He gets into the Royal Rumble match. He's not going to win. Triple H said months ago he already knows who he's going to put over at the Royal Rumble this year.
And
And
who's that?
I don't know.
Who you
I
think
don't
Triple
know.
H put on? You don't know.
It's not CM Punk because he said this way before CM Punk came in. It's not Seth Rollins because he has the title. It could be Cody Rhodes, but it'd be very disappointing because they gave it away the last time Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble. They just gave it away. They literally
Yeah, of
gave it
course.
away.
Yeah, they
And
did.
it was stupid. I don't know who they would let win the Royal Rumble. I don't, because
Yeah.
right now I'm starting to see them promote some of these smaller names because some of these bigger names are either injured
Yeah.
or or whatnot. The usual. It's so I mean it's like I don't know who would they put in. I don't know. As long
You're
as Bianca as
are
long
you
as
a big
Bianca Belair doesn't win the women's, I don't care who wins.
well, I'm about to say, are you a big LA Knot fan?
Not really. He's a good character. I
Yeah.
like him.
Yeah.
but I'm
Uh,
not huge on him.
yeah, I didn't think he would be.
I don't think he's the
I didn't
one to
think
be
he'd be huge
raised.
on him. Yeah, I didn't
Hey,
think he'd be huge on him.
but Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns do have a lot of creative control. So,
Yeah.
and Paul Heyman has stated, look, whoever's going to beat Roman Reigns, it needs to be somebody like that, like big to carry the company. Seth Rollins could be that guy, which I don't see that happening right
No,
now.
I don't
Cody
either
Rhodes could
now.
be that guy. Um,
Yeah.
but like Cody Rhodes is eventually going to win the championship. It could be against Roman Reigns. I don't know. But I mean, it just I don't know. I don't know because like I said, and this year could be a little bit different. Drew McIntyre, Becky Lynch, and Seth Rollins' contracts are all up this year, sometime in the middle of the year. So who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
I see Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch coming back. I think Drew's going to go away for about a year and come back at, not, I would say a year, but I think he's going to go away for a little while and come back because that's what it looks like that's what they look like they're starting to do. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. There's so much going on, and so I don't know. I don't know.
How about Priest?
They've been pushing Damian Priest for a while. My biggest issue right now is they kind of slowed him down a little bit.
They have. They have. But it's a surprise because he got the Money in the Bank contract.
I think he's going to do what Seth Rollins did at WrestleMania a couple years ago and cash in at WrestleMania. That's just me.
Could he catch it against Roman Reigns?
No,
No, you don't think so?
no,
He'll cash it against Seth Rollins, you believe?
yes,
Okay. Yeah,
yes,
I see that too.
yes. I think he's going to cash it in. He could cash it in Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. A lot of good storylines in wrestling, and support your independent and support your independent promotions.
And so yeah, but like I said, though, yeah, they need to speed up Damian Priest a little bit. I mean, they really
Yeah.
pushed him that first year or so, and then he got with Judgment Day a couple of years ago. And then he's kind of stalled. I think he needs a good singles push. But then again, Judgment Day's a big faction right now, and they're still hot. That's the thing; they're still hot.
Well, what I see though is I see Judgment Day and the Tribe kind of butting heads. That's why I've made up the scenario that could he cash it in against Roman Reigns. That's because you got two hot commodities. But I do think fans wants to see these two to come together. Oh, I mean go against each other because that's
Right.
usually how factions works. You usually have one faction, you have another faction. Usually they eventually start butting heads and start fighting. That's usually how it works naturally in wrestling. They might work together for a little while, but eventually, and of course, but of course, Judgment, of course, the Tribe would need to have a woman wrestler in there for to counteract with Mommy.
True.
But
Mommy
I mean,
is
but
fair.
that would be doable though, and that would be too hard. But yeah, that's some interesting storylines. So
It's part of it. And like you said, Brad, support your indies, support those independents. One of these years, Brad, I want to go pay a trip to OVW.
I would love to.
OVW is a big time. It used to be a really, really big time promotion, and I really encourage you to watch Wrestlers on Netflix. It's a very, very good documentary.
OVW, yeah,
If you want
developmental
some
territory.
if you want
John
some good
Cena.
if you want some good entertainment for this week, I highly suggest watching Club Shay Shay and watching the interview between Shannon Sharp and Cat Williams. It was epic, Brad. It was epic.
Emily told me about that.
Brad, I'm telling you right now, I have
watched
seen
it, but
good.
Emily told me about.
I love Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp has done a terrific job coming into. He's made a name for himself. Cat Williams, that was one of the best interviews, if not the best interview I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so great. Cat Williams just spits it all out. He spits it all out. And like it sounds like he's trying to down some of these people, but he's really not to promote himself, but he's really not. He's like, his whole thing is that he didn't need to down anybody. He's already a big name. I'm telling you, it's epic. It's hilarious. It's such a great interview. I think I'm gonna watch it again. But
yeah.
it is what it is. All right, Brad, do you have any days of the week?
Well, we didn't go over the national championship game.
We do have the national championship game. Let's just make it simple, Brad. Michigan or Washington?
Ooh, it's hard though. Both won on the last drives of the game, stopping their opponent. I'm going to say Michigan by a field goal.
I'm gonna say Michigan by 10.
Okay. I like that.
It's like I said, they're Washington. You and I both know it's all about the offensive line and the defensive line.
Yeah.
Washington has a great offensive front, but Michigan has a better defensive front, in my opinion.
Well,
Michigan's
Penix.
defense and Penix is a great quarterback. And like I said, if they can keep Penix in the pocket, they're going to win. If they
I
let
agree.
Penix scramble, it's over. Penix will throw all over the place. He'll run all over them. But like I said, I think Michigan is going to have. I think Harbaugh is going to have a great game plan, and I personally believe this is it for him at Michigan. I think win or lose, he's done. I think win or lose, he's done. If the right NFL job comes in his lap, he's done.
That's the key part, right NFL job, and the right NFL job that will give him control, because I think he's going to ask for control. But I think Michigan's going to, he loses, I think he is NFL bound. If he wins, I think he stays at Michigan. He signs a lifetime contract with Michigan. That's my personal opinion. And he's going to have all the control he wants at Michigan.
You think they're going to sign him to a lifetime contract?
They're offering him $125 million right now. 10 years, 125 million.
You think they're, but you said a lifetime contract. You didn't say it.
I mean, he's 60, so that puts him to 70, Ricky.
Is he 60?
He's 60, yes.
I don't think he was that old.
Yeah, he's 60.
I knew he was old, but I didn't think he was 60.
He's 60. Yes, I do have DAs, by the way.
Okay, go. I've got one, but go ahead with yours.
Well, I have two, but my first DA goes to Matt Bure, for two reasons. Number one, he said that the Christmas Story was overrated. They're the worst bowl game other than the Orange Bowl, the Boca Raton Bowl. While Syracuse was getting pounded by USF and about 49-69, whatever, something to nothing. Him and Dan Mullen was having a side conversation. And of course, he talked about how the Christmas Story was overrated. Not only does he do that, so fast forward to the Duke's Mayo Bowl, he decides to eat a Krispy Kreme donut. We all love Krispy Kreme donuts. I love Krispy Kreme.
I don't.
Donuts.
They're overrated.
Oh my God. Ooh, you should be a DHS for that.
Krispy Kreme is terrible, Brad. They're shutting all their stores down. There's a reason for it.
Anyway, everybody's looking for that good old sign that says hot donuts available. You know what this idiot does? This idiot puts brown sugar bourbon mustard on his Krispy Kreme donut. What the heck are you doing? That's absolutely gross. You're absolutely right. How in the world can you, number one, think the Christmas Story is overrated? That's the best Christmas movie ever. That's number one. And number two, don't you ever, ever put brown sugar bourbon mustard on a freaking donut. Donuts are good by itself. Matt Bure is a DA. He's very lucky he's not in my DA Hall of Fame. So he's my first DA of the week.
So, let's stop. Okay, so first of all, Christmas Story is the best. I still think it's one of the best Christmas movies of all time. For those of you who say Die Hard, I want to slap you. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Now, it goes a Christmas Story and then Home Alone 2 in that order, and then that's it. Okay, that's it. The top two, and that's it. Okay, number two, of course. Speaking of Christmas Story, I used to work with a guy. His name is Ray Tackett. I worked with him at Frito-Lay. He also trained me. I've known him for years because he was also my rep whenever I was a store manager at Dollar General. And he hates A Christmas Story as well. He used to always quote it, but like, dude, this is so stupid. You shoot your eye out, kid. I said, that's the whole point. Yeah. I said, that's the whole point of the movie. It's like you're a young boy.
I triple dog dare you.
You're a young boy. One of the first things you wanted as a young boy, at one point in your time, you wanted a BB gun, and that's what he wanted. And I'm like, it's a great story. It's a terrific family story. For those of you who think Christmas Story is overrated, I want to slap you. Now, number two, Krispy Kreme is absolutely disgusting and horrible.
Gosh.
Brad,
if you're hearing this right now, guys, we are sorry about this blasphemy by Ricky Nooner.
Brad, Krispy Kreme had one donut shop in Arkansas. I don't know how many they have now, but they had one donut shop in Arkansas, and it was next to the heart hospital. Guess what they did to that donut shop? They shut it down.
Who
Why?
cares?
Because Krispy Kreme donuts
It's
are
by a
absolutely
It's
horrible.
by a heart hospital. It's by a heart hospital.
It's still
It's by a heart
it is still a
Oh
very,
my
very
God.
hey,
It
listen.
probably wasn't the greatest location. Put it by a heart hospital.
Hey, it was hey, Shackelford, where it's at, is a very high traffic area.
I know, but
okay?
not by the
Very high
heart
traffic area.
hospital. There's plenty of places in Shackelford to put the darn Krispy Kreme donut shop, not by the heart hospital. Oh my goodness.
All right, go ahead with your second DA of the week.
Well, my second day of the week is actually a more serious one, and this is so if you've been paying attention to Arkansas news, there's been this cat fight between the governor and the Board of Corrections. So both of them makes my DA of the week for this one. Because, Ricky, how in the world do you play politics with public safety? And working in the prison system myself, the Board of Corrections deserves a lot of blame because there's been a lot of problems in the Arkansas prison system for many years. And the governor for suggesting to expand beds while most of the prisons are understaffed. So you got this situation that right now this is all being played in court. Let's all be adults here. I got a perfect solution to all of this. This is why you should probably elect me.
Oh God, here we go.
This is the perfect solution. Give them the National Guard and expand the beds. Because I understand the jails, they are crowded right now. Very overcrowded. Because I used to keep up with those statistics myself, just looking at them on a daily basis because I had that access. And at the same time, though, the staff does need help. They need a lot of help because I remember times when I was working where we could barely field. Actually, there were sometimes I had to work 2 floors at one time to oversee residents. So, guys, I would just say to the 2 DAs, work this out. Let's be adults and just quit playing politics with public safety. So that's my second DA of the week.
Yeah, of course, this is also election year, so who knows? Just listen. It's like my pastor said this morning. We are not electing a savior, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just letting you know that right now because we have idiots in this country. It's just part of it.
Yes.
My one and only DA of the week, Brad. I never thought in a million years that I would hear someone say something so stupid in my entire life. This could top it for me. As some of you know, I used to be a math teacher, and I want y'all to understand something about math. You should understand it by math, Brad, especially about what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Math is probably the most complex subject there is because the fact is that math is not one of those that you just get in between. You either get it right or you get it wrong. There is no essay. There is no short answer. There's nothing like that that's going to be like, okay, I can see your point of view here. Okay. There's no black and white. It's right there, dead. It's right there. Okay.
Nothing subjective.
Nothing suggestive whatsoever.
Subjective, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Brad, I watched a quote of this one woke female that wanted to suggest that we need to start letting people say 2 + 2 = 5 because there's a possibility that that's a solution.
Oh God. Yeah, I knew they were going to get there.
So let me get this straight. I have to call you by whatever pronoun that you prefer.
Yep.
And now I got to give you if I'm a math teacher and you tell me that 2 + 2 = 7, I got to give you credit for that because you're stupid. No, that's not going to happen. I don't understand. Brett, how did we get to this part? How did we get to this?
Well, I think you said it when I called for my second DA of the week. We have politicians and people that are just absolute idiots. And we have elected these people in office, and they have set these policies where, things have become subjective, like even math now can be subjective. I can say 2 + 2 = 5 because that's how I feel, Ricky. You don't tell me how I feel. Ricky, you don't tell me what I did. If I want if I want a Krispy Kreme donut shop, I feel like I love Krispy Kreme. That hurt my feelings. I identify with Krispy Kreme. That hurt my feelings.
Brad,
You're not part of it. You need to be kicked out. So that's how I feel. That's how we do things.
So Brad, since you live kind of close now, one of these days when I'm off again, I'm going to take you to a hole in the wall donut shop in Benton called Dell's Donuts, and you'll forget all about Krispy Kreme.
I
I'm
probably
telling you,
will.
dude.
But
You'll
actually,
forget all about Krispy Kreme.
You know the best donut shop I ever ate at? Batten's Donuts in Paragould. Batten's Donuts. The fried pie. I want a Batten donut in Paragould.
And put it next to the heart hospital. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right. It was pretty much next door to the
worst location. That's a DA right there. Just put that to the heart.
Yeah, the funny thing is Laura works for the Heart Hospital Clinic now across the street, so it's oh, goodness gracious. All right, y'all. That's all I've got for today. This episode will be posted. So you guys will hear this hopefully on Monday morning, whenever you are going through your walk, your drive to work, whatever the case may be. Hit the subscribe button. We try to do as best as we possibly can. Hopefully next week or the week after, we will have CJ and Don Riggin, who are the co-owners of Infinity Pro Championship Wrestling. Support your indies. Also, make sure your pets get spayed or neutered, because I'm tired of seeing stray dogs and cats all over the place.
Yeah, my final thought is always remember, as long as the human race exists, we will always have DAs.
Very, very true. And me and you could be one of them one day. You never know. All right. Y'all have a good week.